You, so you tell everybody to not swear, and then you swear. We have two. We have 2 seasons and we have 2 full seasons to catch up on. But season 1 is a great. Okay. Yep. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to my party. Yep. Okay.
Baba. I gotta pull up
Dylan,
the
could
other
you
scenes.
post your stream? Because I don't have you added it.
He just did.
Oh, okay.
You big fat dummy head. Oh, I got you on that one. Alrighty.
Nice censorship.
Hey, look, I'm trying to keep it PG, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
wanna be
Like,
monetized.
good censorship. It was
I'm trying to
serious.
get monetized here, brother.
Yeah, let's go.
I love the titles. So we got me, everything capitalized, nice and formal. We got John, some things capitalized. At least it says Season 2, Round 6, Canadian GP. Then we got Dylan, F1 League Racing.
Yeah.
I had to change the title last week to a formal title. So that I quit
If you want to change my title, it's fine. But
dude, I'm too lazy to change your title this time. I had to change mine already to Round 6 instead of Round 5.
Yeah, we kind of missed Round 5.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Alright. I'm halfway through Red Bull. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great. Alright. Hurry up, game. Load. Jesus. And we're doing a 3-lap race, baby. Alright. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UDL F1 League Season 2, round number 6 here at the Canadian GP at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. My name, of course, is Mr. Damage, and I'm joined once again by John and then special guest Dylan.
How is everybody doing today?
I'm doing quite well. I'm excited for some digital motorsports, as sadly the physical motorsports around the world has been canceled for the most part. But excited for a great race here in Canada.
Last year, this race was an absolute banger, one of the races of the year, and I am not looking for anything different than that here today at this Canadian GP, a 13-turn track with the most infamous wall in motorsports, the Wall of Champions, coming out of that final chicane. Let's see who gets into it, and while our reigning champion Snipper Pig hit that Wall of Champions.
It's inevitable that somebody will hit that wall, at least in the race, if not qualifying. They're going to be pushing their cars to the limit, trying to get on pole position for this race.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this track is so tough to get right, so they're really going to be pushing quite hard here, almost every lap, to get this every little bit of pace possible.
It is certainly going to be an incredible race to watch, especially in qualifying. I have no doubt the qualifying times will be incredibly close today.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do my race rundown here in qualifying with Breezy, the Alfa Romeo driver, coming up into turn 1 now. The left-right turns 1 and 2, very tricky set of corners. The traction here is very tough to get correct. As now we go down this short straight, 2 turns 3 and 4, the first right-left chicane of the track. As now we come through this little twisty section here, and Breezy gets into the wall and looks like he might have backed out of the lap, not quite sure. We're going to go through this middle sector, though, with him anyways, through turns 6 and 7. Now down this DRS straight, this newly added DRS straight here in Canada, up towards the turns 8 and 9 chicane. He absolutely blows straight through them, so this is definitely not a qualifying lap. So I'll jump back to the Ferrari driver of Snipper Pig to show you how to go through those turns correctly. Now we go through turns 8 and 9 up to the blast, to the hairpin. This is where, of course, Robert Kubica had that horrific crash in 2007 before coming back and taking victory in 2008. Now up, down the casino straight, up through the turn 11 that's basically just a slight little kink. And now to the final 2 corners on the track. The right-left chicane. The Wall of Champions is here, and he does hit it. So there already, he has hit the Wall of Champions, as now we come up to the line, and he goes P2 only.
That cost him pole.
Only
that cost him provisional.
11 thousandths of a second off of Honos.
And that shows you how close this qualifying is going to be. That little tap on the Wall of Champions right now has cost Snipper provisional pole. Obviously, we're still in very early stages in qualifying with over 14 minutes remaining. But mistakes like that could cost you in qualifying, and had he hit it harder, that could be his race done if he did that during the race.
Yeah, the level of competition here in Season 2 of the UDL has been extremely close through the entire season, and this track notoriously has been bread cross racing to begin with, so I think this might be a contender for Race of the Year of the UDL Season 2.
Absolutely, and quick shout out to the guys on the medium compound tires going for this different strategy here. Bossman, so far the best of the medium runners with a 1 minute 10.2, only 8 tenths off of our pole sitter. So that's a pretty solid time on those medium compound tires.
Very. It'll be interesting to see what strategy people really use. If they go for that medium stint at the beginning or just go all out pace.
A couple of things of note. There are 2 drivers out on track right now on hards. That would be Imran Thunder and also Ripper Rick. So
they are actually. I don't think they are on hards. I think that is a graphical glitch. My tire indicator does not say hards. Ripper Rick does say hards though.
Well, as they set times, I don't know if you have it set to current or fastest for your tire selection, but on my screen, Ripper Rick and Imran Thunder are both on the hard compound tires.
Oh,
If
okay.
you-
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I had it set on best. I always have it set on fitted. I made a mistake.
Yeah, so there we go. John, big brain cells.
That was my mistake. I am sorry. But I know sometimes it does have a graphical glitch on the car, so.
So now, as we continue on, get that money and run in the official practice session, was the fastest driver in that Red Bull. So be looking out for that Red Bull driver, maybe as a favorite here today, to get his very first win in the league. He came very close to it in Bahrain, but had a very unfortunate last few laps of that GP and fell down from first, but I believe it's either third or fourth there at the very end of the race.
One thing that should be of note, Sinister Owl will be looking to have a very good result coming out of his win at the Monaco GP last week. His first win in his UDL career.
Yeah, we were all extremely happy for him. Sinister, as we know, has had some terrible luck in the league, and now he has finally gotten that first win at the best track to get your first win at in Monaco. So,
incredible first win.
Yeah, absolutely astonishing. He got it done at Monaco, of all places. Got a bunch of drivers starting their flying laps, waiting for somebody to cross the line on a flyer. Maybe killed a Birdman? No, he just started one.
So, one thing that's interesting, 6 drivers have yet to venture out, as actually now, as I say that, almost everyone's either on an outlap or has exited the pits. So, a couple of these drivers that have yet to set times, just trying to see what the track's doing, see where they can get a clear space in traffic to get a clean lap in around this very technical but also very high-speed track.
So it looks like the first person to set a lap in the second round of times will be the Imperial and this Renault. Goes into the pit lane, so never mind me. So it looks like it will be Pecan and the Haas on the soft compound tires. Let's see what he can do. He got to provisional pole. Great lap from him to put himself up into P1, but then Autos immediately snatches it right back and is a full half a second up on his Haas counter.
Honos has been a really incredible contender since he joined the league last season.
So the Ferraris are now crossing the line. Sinister's lap was invalidated. Snipper Pig moves himself up into P2, but for the first time in a while,
Dreamsy,
here in qualifying.
in his second ever UDL race, moves himself up into provisional P3.
This is some great qualifying here from all of these drivers.
It was a very good switch to pull Dreamsy into the McLaren. Him and Honos are going to be a team to fight for the championship for the rest of the season.
As it looks like, let's see, Pecan's going into the pit lane. I presume Honos is as well. Most likely get that money and run behind. Yes, he doesn't have his DRS open. I'm not sure. Is that killed a Birdman? Killed a Bird. It's a final corner. And misses the wall, so we'll watch him finish his lap and see what he can do. He goes all the way up into P. Williams. Good lap there from the Rocket Williams driver to put himself up into the top 10 provisionally here for the Canadian GP.
Looks like Bossman might improve. He's on a flyer coming out of the last corner now. Keeps it clear of the wall of champions. And he lifted. No, he didn't. He improves his time, but not position, so looks like he might have lifted slightly before the line there.
He was invalidated. He actually went a 1:10.9 or a 109.9, I mean. So that would have been enough for, well, now P7. But so, slight disappointment for him.
Very close qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. This is incredible. Let's see, from P1 is a 108.7 down to P6, a 109.8. So 6 drivers underneath that 110. We look from P7 at a 110.0 all the way down to P13 at a 110.89. And we still have 3 drivers yet to set a lap. This is some incredible qualifying session.
Those 3 drivers definitely want to get setting a lap here soon.
Prix comes across the line to set his lap. He goes a 109.137 up into P4 provisionally for that Haas. Wow, I don't know why I said Haas. Alfa Romeo team. They're looking to get some strong results on the board for their Constructors' Championship. Now it looks like we have a slight break until the next car crosses the line. So with 6 minutes and 38 seconds left on the clock, this is going to be a real slugfest for who gets pole position here in the Canadian GP.
Bossman has a spin. Not quite sure where that is on track, but he has continued. Looks like it's towards the end of the first sector.
This is still a lot of time for people to improve.
Yeah, we've got at least one more run here. As Get That Money Run actually hits the wall coming out of turn 2. Luckily, it doesn't get any damage, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got invalidated by that. But it looks like he's still pushing hard, so he might still be okay.
Shawsome coming through the final corner now on his flyer.
Shawsome finally putting on the soft compound tires, and was not a very hot lap. For some reason, Pecan is right behind Cone Dodger, just pushing him along here. Very interesting. Wonder why they would be doing that.
Maybe it's his way of helping his teammate? I'm not exactly sure.
So I know we had a little bit of drafting in WEC, but I don't know if that worked too well in this.
And also with that WEC draft, that was amended in the rulebook to make that illegal, so...
Sinister is on his first flyer right now, coming out of the hairpin, and it looks like it's going to be a dandy lap. Gets a nice clean run out of the hairpin as he heads into the final chicane, and if he keeps it off the wall of champions, it should be a pretty... he's backed off of it.
Yep. See, this track is so easy to invalidate your qualifying laps around because every single apex of all these chicanes, you can really cut those curves quite hard. It doesn't affect your car very much at all. And doing that really, really hurts you quite a lot. As these Haas drivers, they're still... As Cone had to let Pecan by because Pecan didn't back off enough, so Cone got his one lap on these tires ruined.
Okay, that was a glitch on my screen. On my screen, Glenn Coco put his nose directly into the wall of champions and then glitched back onto the main straight.
Ripper Rick coming across the line to set a lap on the medium tires. He goes a 116.7. A little bit of pace needs to be found for that driver here to be able to be competitive and try to get some points here for that Williams team in place of Drew Yu.
It should be known that this is Ripper Rick's first ever UDL race, I'm pretty sure. If he has done a race before, it was a while ago.
Yeah, I do not remember his name at all.
Shawsome is about to jump up. He's currently in 12th position, and he does indeed jump up to 10th. Immediately followed by Pecan, who jumps to the top by 64 one-thousandths of a second.
And to put a little bit of emphasis on that lap here with 3 minutes to go, that was the second lap on those soft compound tires. He was behind Cone for at least half of his first lap. So there on one lap old tires from the Haas driver to put himself on provisional pole.
This race is looking to be incredibly good.
I am not surprised one bit. I mean, this track has produced incredible races up until the V6 era, and even in the V6 era, some incredible races. And it doesn't look like anything's going to change here today in the UDL race around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
So, Sinister Owl is starting his... what very well could be his last run in qualifying. If he does not set a lap here, this could be make or break for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is really heartbreaking stuff for our defending GP winner. Snipper Pig improved to a provisional pole time, but invalidated himself in the final chicane. And so his 108.664 did not count. So he will stay MP3 provisionally, and that will be his qualifying session done and dusted.
Honos was on a flyer. Oh. Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
He was on a flyer the last chicane before the hairpin at the end of the second sector. He caught just a little bit too much curb, and as a result, his lap time wasn't validated. He turned his and he's heading back to pit lane. So that
Sinister Owl
will be Honus's
going for the lap.
Get a lap in, and it does not count. It would have been enough for at least a top 10 start. He's got to at least try to get one clean lap in here, because I don't know if he'll have enough time to make another one.
I'm not sure. It'll be cutting it extremely close if he can get another lap.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for the Ferrari driver here. He might not be able to get a lap in.
I don't think he will, especially with ERS on 0, as he's trying to save it for his potential hot lap for the next lap. It'll be very close indeed.
Yeah, he's going to have to push as hard as he can. No ERS deployment. That's just not going to... I don't think he's going to make it around in time. So Sinister Owl, for the second year running, might be starting from last on the grid.
Meanwhile, his teammate Snipper Pig just set the fastest Sector 1 of the session so far, as he comes to the end of the second sector and goes purple in Sector 2 as well.
So Sinister will make a flag here, but very crucially, only had 80%.
He did not.
No, Sinister did not make it.
We'll see if it allows him to finish his lap. Snipper coming around the final corner now. First car now to finish his lap. And he does improve, but is barely bested. Pecan's provisional pole time. We're going to look for the next driver to cross the line. We've got a car on the wall. That's Kill the Birdman as a Haas crosses the line. That was Cone Dodger. He does not improve. And the next car to cross the line is Blaine Coco. He's going through the final chicane now. And let's see if he can improve from his P10 spot now. He does not. Kill the Birdman gets a 5-place grid penalty. So that's pretty crucial for his race. Real Space Hero coming to the line now. Let's see if he improves. He does improve, but very slightly. So we'll stay in P15. Or Sinister Owl. Will it let Sinister finish his lap? I don't think so. No.
Sinister's done.
We'll start for the second successive year on the back row of the grid here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And Pecan 36 is your pole sitter here for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Incredible qualifying. Honestly, I wouldn't have expected any less from Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve.
This is going to be a fascinating race, as the top 3 cars qualified under 3/4 of a tenth of a second apart. The top 6 are within a second of each other, and most of the grid, the whole top 10 is within 1.3 tenths. That mid pack is absolutely neck and neck.
I mean, if we look from, well, as the timing screens go away, I guess I gotta wait another minute or two here.
From 7th to 15th is half a second. That is absolutely amazing.
If we look all the way down to P16, from P7 to P16 is 8 tenths. 8 tenths of a second separate those drivers. Incredible. Not even 8 tenths, 7.5. Somewhere in there. Incredible. Very close racing is going to happen here in this race. The only driver on mediums. Wow, Imran Thunder stuck to the mediums, and he qualified in P9 from Mercedes, so good drive from him to get up into P9 on those medium compound tires.
All right, so just to let everyone know, we will have an intermission between the qualifying and the race, so we can reset the lobby. So, while we reset that, we will also have some interviews and talk about some of the drivers that will be running today. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
All right, so as we wait for some drivers the grid.
All right, so Sinister Owl is here, our first interview of the night. Sinister, we would like to just say we would like to keep any swearing out of here, but speak freely.
Strict Cortica in this game is an absolute joke, and it needs to be fixed immediately. There's no way that any of those laps should have been invalidated, especially one of them. I don't know how I'm invalidated for hitting the wall when I lose time from hitting the wall. At least I don't think a human being can gain time from hitting a concrete barrier. But somehow they still invalidated my lap. Nonetheless, we proceed. I set another one. I put 2 tires on the strip, and it still invalidates my lap. So yeah, it's a great day. It's a fantastic day. I can't wait. I can't wait to get it going. I cannot wait. I did it last year. I went from 20th to 4th, so let's go from 19 to 1st.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of bad luck, and we are sorry to hear that. But
at least I won Monaco.
But how do you feel about your chances in the race today?
I don't even know. We're going to just take it at face value and see what happens. I've got no idea.
All right.
As good as mine, also. You
do have the run coming into this race after winning Monaco. So
yeah, I shot the crap.
But yeah, it will be good to watch you come through the field because we know you will have the pace. There's a few more than 5 viewers today, but
okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yep, no problem, and have a good race today. Good luck.
Yeah.
Sorry for his unprofessionalism.
Yep.
Clearly, he is a little bit tilted right now, so sorry about that. That was interesting. Start from P19 on the grid for Ferrari is with Dreamsy and Honos, as now Dreamsy is in that seat full time, and he will be really racking up points for that team as they're at 63. Red Bull right behind them at 53 points, and Haas very close to Red Bull at 50. Racing Point has 35 points. Toro Rosso in 7th with 25. Mercedes with 22 points, Williams with 10, and Renault with 7. Every team has scored at least 7 points, so that's always good to see.
It is very good to see. And Racer has come in. Would you like to lead the interview, Damage?
So here we have Racer X, the Alfa Romeo driver, currently second in the point standings, only 12 points behind our championship leader. Racer, you had a pretty decent qualifying session, very close qualifying session. You were in P7, correct?
That is correct. Got P7. At least I did a qualifying lap, unlike Sinisterel. But very unfortunate for him, especially that he was the front runner, I think, for this race. But anyways, I would say my qualifying wasn't really the greatest. It was just very messy. I had a lot of messy laps throughout the qualifying section, but I feel like I can do better in the race. So we'll see what goes on.
So as a little bit of intel for this race, what is the strategy looking like? Is it just going to be a soft to hard one stop, or maybe a 2-stop, or maybe even a 3-stop? Mix things up.
Good question. I mean, I feel like I'm thinking a lot of us are gonna go to 2-stop. Maybe soft, medium, medium is what we're looking at. Maybe soft, medium, soft, if that for a little bit of a risk. But I feel like soft, medium, medium is what mostly everyone's gonna go for. I feel like.
Okay, and also Imran Thunder in P9 qualified on mediums. So he will most likely be on a 1-stop with that strategy. So he might be in for a very good shot of a good point scoring position here. But what is your race pace looking like here for the Alfa Romeo team between you and Breezy?
I think we're going to be looking more towards the top 5. Just hoping just to at least get a good amount of points, just get a top 5. Hopefully make podium if we're lucky. But we're also hoping for at least a 1-2 finish for Alpha. Whatever, but I think it will happen. Maybe not this race, but maybe down the long run it'll definitely happen. But for now, I say top 5 at least for Canada for today.
Okay, humble expectations. I appreciate that. Not everybody in the race can win the race. There's only going to be one winner, so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that you didn't predict like Racing Point did last season with their 1-2s every race, as in 1-2 as in first and second. The DNF that was the Racing Point team last season. So
I mean,
I'm happy you guys aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there for that race, but jeez, that's. Ouch.
That wasn't a race. That was the season.
That was the season.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
Yeah, we had our weekly interview with Hefty, and every time he was always predicting the Racing Point 1-2. And ended up as a Racing Point first and second to DNF. So, yeah, a little bit of love to Hefty back.
I do have a quick announcement. Apparently, Shawsom's power went out. So that will be an issue.
Oh, that sounds good for him. Jeez, the luck that keeps on coming against him.
So hopefully his power comes back on very soon. But Racer X, the one question I have to ask for the viewers. as you are still very close in this championship battle for the Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship, do you think you have what it takes to take home those trophies at the end of the season?
I think so. I would say at least a good amount to hopefully enough to win the championship. I would say just at least enough consistency will definitely get me up towards the top. And
as we know, you're one of the most consistent drivers in the league, and that's why you are in second place in the drivers' standings.
Correct.
So, John or Dylan, do you have any more questions?
No, I'd just like to say good luck in the race today. We'd like to see you up in at least top 5. That would be nice to see, but we can't be biased, so.
Exactly. Hey, it's anybody's game, but hey, let's hopefully have a good race and good luck. Good luck and have fun in the booth.
We will. Good luck.
Yep. Good luck to you guys in the Alfa Romeo camp.
Thanks, boys.
Do we have any more?
Oh man. Last time out, let me scroll up and find the Canadian GP from last year. Doo-doo-doo.
It's great to hear from you, Drew.
So last year's Canadian GP was won by Apex Glide in the Haas with Snipper Big 007 in P2 and get that money and run in MP3, and as stated in his interview, Sinister Owl came across the line MP4 after starting MP20. So he had a great drive last year. He might just have another great drive today. Another nice history lesson. PCOM was on pole position last year, and he is once again on pole position again this year. Last year, the pole position time was a 108.866. And this year, he has gained just a couple of tenths and went a 108.689. So he's gained around 2 tenths of a second since last year. So nice to see these drivers progressing in pace, and almost the entire field has progressed quite a lot since then.
It should be noted that last year's Canadian GP winner is actually the UDL's current head steward for F1.
Yeah, so hey, he won in a Haas last year. Maybe it's a good omen for a Haas driver. I don't know. But Apex Glide, my former F2 teammate and our newest addition to the storage room. Now, with 20 seconds left until the session starts, Dylan, I want to ask you. Oh, never mind. Dylan, I want to ask you. Who do you think will be on the podium for the Canadian GP here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve?
With how close the top 3 is, it would be hard to go against them. I think Pecan is going to push hard today after what happened last week at Monaco with that last lap spin. I think he's going to come back and win today's race. And I think Honos will be a close second. But Snipper will bring it home in third. But it's going to be a very close race and a very hard fought for battle.
I would say, in my experience of commentating this series, I'm gonna go with Honos. Makes an extremely good strategy call. Gets P1. Pecan comes P2. And Snipper P3. But that being said, Snipper has a long history of having extremely good luck. So, if something does happen to the other two, Snipper has a very good chance of winning this race.
All right, so you two went with the easy options of just picking the top 3 on the grid. That's kind of boring. So, I like to mix things up sometimes. I do think that Pecan will win this race. He really needs that redemption. He needs a win so that he can get back into this title fight. So I think that Pecan will come across the line in P1. But here comes the kicker. Dilsack, a very quiet P5 in qualifying from him. I think he will come home in P2. And then here's the real kicker. I think that the man, the myth, the legend, Sinister Owl, our defending race winner, will go from 19th on the grid all the way to that 3rd podium position.
Very big predictions there, but I don't see it as a bad prediction. Dilsack has definitely proved that he's been a really good competitor this season, and Sinister Owl has proved last year that just because he starts in the last position on the grid does not mean he can't get up to a very good points-paying position.
If we look back to last year's Canadian GP, I remember this pretty well. He was actually up into P6 and then got spun again in some sort of a big collision and dropped all the way back down to the back of the field once again with only around 10 or 12 laps to go and still stormed through the field and finished in P4. I think Sinister's going to have plenty of race pace here today, and I would not be surprised to see him on the podium.
Sinister has an extremely good a gift for getting through the field very quickly. Even going back to the beginning of this season in Australia, after being spun, he fought his way back up to a very good position before disaster at the end of the race, but he still fought his way up to a very good position before that, that AI really messed him up, but he has the capability to fight through the field quickly.
I'm really looking forward to what this race can bring forward for us. I'm really excited.
I don't know if you feel the same way, Damage, but we commentate these races every week, and for some reason, Canada right now just feels like a turning point for this league. To me, it seems like something. It can only grow from here.
It'll be interesting to see if the McLarens can work together starting in 3rd and 4th. They'll have to be careful not to get involved in the same first lap incident, however, as that can be easy to do sometimes.
The drivers are forming up on the grid currently.
All right, the anticipation is building. The green flag is waving. We now wait for the lights to come on. 1 light, 2 light, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5, and the lights are out, and away we go for the Canadian GP here in the UDL F1 League. Snipper gets a very good start off of that outside row on the grid, but then tucks behind Pecan going through turns 1 and 2. A little bit of bumping there through the midfield, and Kill the Birdman spins into the grass at the exit of turn 1 as now we come up towards turns 3 and 4 as we go single file here through this chicane. Nobody really making any sort of mistakes. The Renault goes into the grass going through the second apex, but as we stand now, Pecan in P1, Snipper in P2, and Honos in P3.
Yeah, during that start, the backup happened in turn 1 as everyone checked up early to give each other space. Sinister did not brake early enough, and he has left wing damage right off the bat in turn 1. So, not the start that he wanted to this race.
Definitely not.
Dreamsy and Breezy are side by side through the hairpin, as well as Racer X, and get that money and run. Dreamsy able to defend for now against Breezy, and he will with the help of a little bit of ERS deployment and get that money and run. And Racer X still side by side coming up into this final chicane. Let's see if Get That Money and Run can defend on the inside. They make a little bit of contact there on the first apex, and Get That Money and Run will hold on to that P7 for now.
you could just see how close these competitors are right now. Nose to tail through most of the grid.
The only big gap is to Lucas, who is on the hard compound tires. Very bold strategy call from him. He's all the way up into P10 so far for that Mercedes. And he will be starting his own version of the Truly Train here to try to hold on to a little bit of points and slow down a little bit of the field. Oh, and there's a big crash here between Breezy and
Imran Thunder
Dreamsy.
spins as well.
And Dilsack.
Safety car.
My podium prediction is now down the drain, at least in that, with Dilsack involved as well. Huge crash and very unfortunate for those drivers. Breezy seems to have gotten off the best, and he stays up in P4, but Dreamsy and Dilsack have fallen down the order.
Imran Thunder completely missing a front wing after ping-ponging off the walls.
Yeah, Sinister's basically missing. He only has the main plane left at his front wing as well, as he absolutely nailed Imran. As we have a little bit of a checkup.
It is a good. That's definitely a good time for Sinister to get into that pit lane, though. This is what he wanted.
Yeah,
and it looks like he's putting on the hard tires. So
he might be able to stretch those tires to the end of the race. There's not another safety car or anything, so we don't really know what could happen here.
And I must say it, as it is a tradition here in the UDL, we have the best looking and sounding car on the grid, currently leading.
Yeah, that car is absolutely beautiful. I mean, every Mercedes except for the F1 car I adore, so that's all that matters.
I would definitely race the AMG GT in, or GTS, sorry, AMG GTS in the Grand Prix, even though I would have absolutely no chance of winning.
I mean, look, truly train it up, brother. Truly train it up.
So, your rundown as we come to close the end of the third lap of the Canadian Grand Prix is Pecan, followed by Snipper and Honos, then Get the Money and Run, followed by Racer and Glen Coco. Then Lucas on the hards in 7th place, having not pitted, is the first car not on the soft compound of tires, followed by Cone, Space Hero, and the Imperial to round out the top 10. Everyone outside the top 10 is not on the soft tires.
The biggest mover so far in this race, Cone Dodger in that Haas, has moved up 7 places from P15 on the grid to P8. Great start from him, missing all that carnage at the beginning of this race, as well as the Imperial and Ripper Rick going up 6 places apiece from the back of the grid now, from what I presume would be P16 and 17 all the way up into P10 and 11. Get that money and run. Glen Coco and Lucas all up 4 positions. Real Space Hero up 5. And Racer X up 2. The only other driver up any positions is Sinister Owl. But I will put an asterisk beside of that. But, hey, at least he is up 2 positions.
Snipper Pig is going to be trying to use this safety car to get a really good start and move his way up into P1.
Yeah, this will give him another shot at Pecan, as now the safety car's lights are off. And we'll be having the safety car into the pit lane on this lap. Oh, man. That was already a good start. Let's make it a good restart.
I would hope it will be. Pecan backing the field up.
So safety car is now going into the pit lane, so the safety car is cleared. Pecan, as he comes out of this final corner, can go whenever he wants to. It looks like he has already went, so Pecan has restarted this race in that Haas, he will lead Snipper Pig and Onos across the line as everybody comes single file up into turn 1.
Oh, and we have a spinner out of the last corner. It's Dreamsy, and he has lost his entire left front half of the wing.
Huge disappointment for that McLaren driver after such great praise in qualifying, and only the second GP here in the UDL. He's now fallen all the way back to P18 with wing damage. So these drivers at the front snake through this second chicane in the middle sector. Get that money and run. Pulls to the right-hand side of Onos, coming up into this right left-hander, and he will get the move done and will keep it on track. Great move from him. As now Racer X will try to take advantage of Onos' slow run. They will be side-by-side coming up towards the hairpin. Racer X looking up the inside, might just take this position away. Onos will have a good run around the outside.
Racer
Racer X
very loose.
A little bit of wheel spin there coming out of that corner. And it looks like Onos might just hold on to that, and he will be susceptible to Glenn behind. Glenn looking up the inside, going into the chicane. This is great close racing. Glenn looking up the inside. As now Racer X has to cut that second apex, but he might just have to give that position back. We'll see exactly what happened later on in this race.
Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, an absolutely phenomenal battle for 10th on back, as 10th all the way down to 15th are in one huge train. They were looking at almost going 3 wide into the final chicane that lap.
The top 2 drivers of Pecan and Snipper Pig have pulled a 2.5 second gap on Get That Money and Run, and it will continue to grow here. So Pecan and Snipper really showing off their pace, as now they're pulling away from the Red Bull driver who's just trying to hold on to this podium here in its early stages of this race. Cone Dodger and Lucas. Cone Dodger missing the hairpin and will lose part of his front wing. So huge disappointment for the Haas driver after a good start. Or did he even lose his wing? I don't know. I can't see it.
It's very difficult with those Haases. It's black
it's actually
on black
still
pavement.
there. It's still there, so kudos to him. Got very lucky. I believe he did hit the wall, but managed to survive it. Breezy all the way back up into P8 after that crash and him having to pit to repair his car. Back up into P8 on those mediums, and Lucas still in P7 on those hard tires, doing a great job holding position.
Racer X doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Up into P5 already.
So now Breezy goes up the inside of Lucas. Great late braking move there from the Alpha driver to get past the Mercedes. Great dummy move there from the Alpha driver. That was exceptional.
Breezy has been known to make very good late braking maneuvers.
Breezy is one of the best on the brakes in the league. He's almost our Daniel Ricciardo, if you will. So high praise there for the Alpha driver, and he truthfully deserves it. Now Onos and Get That Money and Run are side by side. Onos DRS will get past, and it looks like there's a huge collision here. Oh my! And Get That Money and Run is out of the race.
There was yeah. I caught that well on my stream, so that will be looked at.
That was a huge shot there. All I gotta say is I am very happy that wasn't a real life GP.
Yes.
That would have hurt. But looking back at the replay, it looks like Get That Money and Run missed his braking point, got into the back of the McLaren driver, and after that lost it completely. We will have to look at some more replays just to see what happened, but that looks like what happened there. So very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, just battling it out for that podium position. Hopefully nobody speeds under this VSC. So now we're back green, and Honos somehow made up a ton of time on these top 2 drivers. Pecan was holding up Snipper quite a lot under that VSC and was trying to get a good run, but the VSC started a little too late. for Pecan is now Snipper. Heads off into the pit lane. First to pit off of the soft compound tires, followed by Glenn. So these two drivers looking to get that undercut on the rest of the field near them. Looks like Glenn and Snipper will both go on the mediums. So far that strategy we were told about is holding true. Imperial also. He hit the wall of champions?
He might.
He is stuck in the wall of champions. He is in the wall of champions. As Real Space Hero is around in the middle sector, and he is. Oh man, that was a little scary. As now he gets back going on track. Real Space Hero, unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Let's see if there's anything else going on here. Dilsack and Sinister Owl in very close proximity to each other. Dilsack right on the back of Sinister. Sinister trying to make his way through the field. He's currently in P11, so making a little bit of progress. Almost a full pit stop behind Snipper Big if he wants to be able to be on this podium. He's really going to have to push.
As more of your front runners are pitting, as
and that almost was very bad.
Thunder, yeah, he almost got forced into the wall of champions by Kill the Bird as they were battling for 6th place and went too wide through the final chicane, which does not work, as you saw there.
So all the drivers are filtering back onto the track, and Snipper Pig comes out in front of Onos by about 1.5 seconds. But crucially, Pecan gets out in front of Imran Thunder, so huge for him, but he is behind Dilsack. So right in the middle of the ton. And there's Cone Dodger. Cone Dodger on the apex here. He's going to have to wait for a long time before he can get that thing spun around. Huge disappointment there for the Haas driver on those old soft compound tires as he almost spins it again.
I think he did. Yes, he did, as yes, he is for sure missing part of his right front wing now. So that's very unfortunate.
So a few drivers here with some soda. They came around that apex and saw Haas sitting on the apex. It's a little scary whenever you're going through there at about 130, 40 miles per hour.
Very.
Is now Pecan right on the back of Dilsack. Oh my, fanning out for days. Ripper Rick pits from what I believe was like P6. And now all of these drivers that have pit are starting to get on the back of the drivers who are stayed out so far. Pecan needs to get past Dilsack as soon as possible, or else his race is going to be completely ruined.
One thing of note, with the pit stop cycle happening, Sinister is up to 5th place as Pecan now has his eyes set on Sinister Owl. So even though it was not the start that Sinister wanted, that safety car has helped him out massively, even though he was involved in it, letting him try an alternate strategy.
Yeah, I mean, if he can stick it out on this one stop as Pecan does get by, if Sinister can stick it out on this one stop, so far he's in a net podium position.
3 wide in the hairpin.
Just a little bit. Snipper goes down the inside of 2 drivers as Dilsack and what looks like Imran Thunder both get into the wall. Snipper, great move down the inside, and then they just ran out of room on the top 2 lanes of that hairpin.
It should be noted that Sinister Owl is missing a right front end plate.
Yes, he is, and it's very easy to lose your end plates around here. All the walls at the exits of all these corners. As now Sinister and Snipper have a little bit of contact, and Snipper has lost a front wing end plate. Sinister has gone off track. Racer X and Sinister side by side, and Sinister has some pretty bad damage.
Very bad for Ferrari today.
Yeah, huge there. And Bossman hits the wall right in front of Pecan. That could have ended very badly for the
almost
race
contact
leader.
Coming into the braking zone as well.
Pecan leaving very little space there for Bossman. I believe Bossman actually grazed the wall on the outside, so very lucky for them to get out of that one unscathed. So now the only three drivers at the front left to pit are Bossman, Lucas, and Breezy. Everybody else in the top 8 has pit. And then the next drivers to have not pit yet are Dulsac and Imran Thunder.
And Sinister Owl is into the pits after that wing damage.
Imran Thunder has pit.
Well, in the actual pit cycle. He pit under the safety car.
He is in an alternate strategy, yes, but...
As he almost spins it there coming out of turn 2. So now we have a team here forming behind Bossman, who is still on those older medium compound tires with Onos and Snipper right behind. Pecan easily gets past Lucas. Lucas putting up no real big fight, but Bossman, on the other hand, putting up a pretty decent fight on these two drivers behind. Goes defensive up towards the hairpin. He's not giving away this position. Onos trying to go around the outside, and he might just get it done on the traction. He does. So great move there from Onos. And we will see if Snipper can do the same thing up towards the chicane.
Snipper will have DRS.
Not quite close enough to get anything done this time around. Gets a good run out of the chicane, though. Let's see if he can go for it up the inside into turn 1. And he does, so he gets that move done. There's a
Space Hero has lost it out of the hairpin as Sinister goes by, and both continue unscathed.
Unfortunate rate for Red Bull. They had a lot of hope here coming into this Canadian GP, as now they have fallen down the order and retired from this race.
Honos and Snipper Pig going to try and get by Lucas very quickly.
Lucas misses this second chicane, has to take to the runoff area, but will stay ahead of Honos and Snipper Pig for now. As this is technically for position, Lucas is doing a one-stop here, I would presume, so he's not going to make it easy for these drivers to get by.
No, he will not. And Snipper Pig and Honos both need to get by very quickly if they're going to have any chance of catching Pecan.
Lucas gets passed by Honos, as now Snipper is going to be looking to get past, but Bossman looking up the inside of Snipper. Snipper going up the inside of Lucas. Lucas letting Snipper go, but then letting Snipper have the line, but almost letting Bossman through as well. Glen Coco and Racer X also in very close terms with each other right behind this battle.
Meanwhile, up front, Breezy has checked out after he has pitted, but on the safety car, so he is on that alternate strategy, but he has opened up almost a 10-second lead over Pecan, who is 3 seconds ahead of Honos in that fantastic battle for the podium.
If Breezy can stretch these tires to make a one-stop out of this, a technical one-stop.
Glen Coco spins in the chicane.
He got Breezy tagged him under braking. That may be under review come
that
post
was
race.
Racer X.
Yes, excuse me, sorry. Got my alphas mixed up. But yeah, he definitely had assistance in that spin and will now need to pit again as his front wing is demolished.
Very unfortunate for the Renault driver. He is another one of these drivers that has some terrible luck in this league. But as I was saying before that incident, if Breezy can stretch out this one stop, he's in for a very good shot of winning this race. So he's going to want to stay on these mediums as long as possible.
It would not be entirely out of the question for both alphas to be in the top 5 in this race.
I mean, that'd be a pretty solid prediction coming into almost every GP. Both alpha drivers, very solid and very quick, consistent drivers. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them both in the top 3, if not on the podium.
Pecan is starting to eat into that lead from Breezy.
He's got 7 tires. Then Breezy on us also with 6-lap-old tires, and Snipper right behind with 7-lap-old tires. But Lucas holding on those hards. Lucas and Bossman side by side in the hairpin. Racer X right behind all of them. A little bit of wheel banging there, but all is good, it seems. So now we come up towards the final game. Bossman looking up the inside of the Mercedes. Racer X will try to follow him through. See if they can make it work. Racer X will get past. Great move there from Racer X, and he has a good run, so he might get 2-1 here. Because now he goes around the outs. He's trying to go around the outside of Bossman, which will turn to the inside of turn 2. Bossman looks a little bit of contact with the rear tire up Racer X, but Racer X, in a span of 3 corners, or 4 corners, or whatever you want to call it, has made up 2 positions.
Very good moves from Racer X there.
Meanwhile, Snipper is still right on Honus' heel, as he's only 7/10 behind, keeping that gap there and keeping the pressure on Honus as we approach the halfway mark in this race.
Snipper Pig has been known to hang behind somebody for a while, put on that pressure, and make the move when it really counts. He's probably one of the most patient drivers in the league, and it works out for him a lot of the time.
And also, I will say he still has that front wing damage that he got in that restart whenever him and Sinister collided, actually after his pit stop. So also Bossman gets right back past Racer X, but they're still going to be very close coming up into turn 1, as well as Lucas and Dilsack goes into the pit lane, as well as Dreamsy. But yeah, so
Racer X gets right by.
Snipper's got some great pace here with a damaged car.
Yeah,
I finally got that point out.
Bossman ran a little bit wide into turn 1, and Racer X was able to slip right back by.
Looks like Sinister might be into the points here. Let's see where Dreamsy comes out. Dreamsy comes out just ahead of Sinister Owl, but Sinister has 1 solitary point to his name so far. He's going to be pushing, trying to get some more points here as this race winds down. Space and Cone Dodger battling it out for last.
I was just about to point that out. Breezy has pitted, so he finally makes his pit stop. It'll be interesting to see what compound he puts on. But these leaders aren't too far behind Space Hero and Cone Dodger, and even though this isn't a battle for points, they are battling it out tooth and nail nonetheless, and they might not realize that the leaders are coming up on them relatively shortly.
I believe that Breezy might have a strategy to win as long as he gets out in front of it. He does. So Breezy gets out in front of the one-stoppers here, and he does not have to stop again for the rest of this race, whereas the drivers in the top 3, I believe they do. And the pit delta here is not 6 seconds, and it's not 8 seconds. Breezy's in for a very good shot of winning this GP.
Very good strategy move.
We might see Bossman and Lucas on the podium. Bossman's already made it 16 laps on those mediums. Lucas 18 on those hards. If Lucas can stretch those tires out and put on softs at the end of this race, he will be flying towards as the race runs down, and he will have a great chance of getting a podium.
Very, very interesting racing with the strategies right now.
Yeah, that safety car at the beginning of the race really did jumble up the strategies, as some of these drivers pitted early on to put on a harder compound to go further into the stint. Oh, and Ripper Rick lost it out of the last corner, almost hit the wall of champions, overcorrected, and slid into the pit wall, losing his entire left front wing almost. So, very unfortunate for that driver, as he was looking like he could have definitely gotten a top 5 had he kept it clean.
Yeah, Ripper Rick now has to go around the entire track without half of his front wing. Very unfortunate for him.
Snipper Pig starting to put the pressure on Honos, looking to make that mistake.
This pit window is open for the rest of these drivers to go onto the soft compound tires, or the mediums compound tires, I mean, not the softs. That is satanic. They can go onto the mediums and finish this GP, but I have a feeling this top 3 is going to want to stay out as long as possible and go onto the softs.
One thing to keep in mind, Honos is only a quarter of a second out of DRS range of Pecan. So even though he's under intense pressure from Snipper Pig, he is catching Pecan quickly.
They both are.
Breezy just set the fastest lap of the race. And it was a full 1.5 seconds faster than the fastest lap of the top 3 who were all in the 112s. Breezy did a 110.75. So Breezy absolutely flying right now. He'll be catching the back of these drivers very soon, as now we have a train for the top 3 here up on the back of them as this race winds down.
And Hono should be in DRS range now of Pecan, so yeah, it's all getting very tight at the front as we come into about the 15 to go range.
Pecan getting... What?
If I were these drivers up at the front, I would definitely be pushing to at least get it into soft range, and then throw on those softs, and just try and make up the positions.
If Breezy gets by, they have to pit. But because I think Breezy will be able to charge past very quickly on those 10-lap pressure tires. I mean, I think Breezy's got this strategy to a T here. As Lucas, we missed him pitting. He went on to the mediums. He's made his final stop. Bossman is still on those medium compound tires 19 laps into the stint. So he might be even trying to stretch those to soft. We'll see how long those tires will be. He'll be a very good indicator for these front runners to see if they can last to the end of this race.
It'll be interesting to see what these top 3 do, because yes, while they do want to beat Breezy, it's going to be very hard for them to make up enough ground, considering Breezy is already right on them. He's only not even a second behind Sniffer now. But however, the undercut between the 3 of them is going to be huge.
Out or not, it might be smart for him to stay out. He does. See if Bossman pits this lap or not. Bossman stays out, so Racer X, he might come out in front of these drivers, or these drivers might come out behind him. They will, so Racer X will be into a provisional P2. Bossman might even come out into a P3. It looks like he might just be ahead of Pecan, so Bossman, a great strategy so far. Let's put him up into P3, and if he stays out for the rest of this race, he's in for some solid points.
Bossman will have to pit. He's already on 20-lap-old medium tires. There's no logical way he can take those to the end. And on a side note, Snipper's down to 6th position as he got a front wing change on that pit stop.
I have to admit, I got to give Bossman credit. Running those tires 20 laps.
Incredible.
Yeah. Those tires must be really scrubbing hard in the corners.
As we can see it right there.
Yeah.
He completely misses his braking zone. Those tires have to be dying. There's no way he can make it another, 8 laps, 9 laps in this GP. He's got to pit.
One driver making his way back up through the field on 5-lap-old had a terrible start to their races.
Dulsac blows right by Sinister with the help of DRS, so Dulsac will take over that P8 like you were just talking about. Remember that Alpha 1-2 that Racer wanted, but he said it probably wouldn't be this race? Depending on how well he defends here, he might just have a chance.
It's a possibility.
Because, I mean, as long as Bossman stays out on track and isn't losing time hand over fist, I mean, he can stay out on those 14-lap-old tires.
Well, and that's a very valuable point. Racer will be watching Bossman's time very crucially if he can, because that is giving him valuable information as to how well these medium tires last late into their stint.
So now Pecan easily breezes by Racer X with the help of DRS, and Racer X does pit. So goodbye to all of that strategy talk we just talked about here. Bossman continues on. This
Two
man
laps
is
in a row.
soldiering it out on those mediums. Those things have to be ready to burst any lap. So let's see where Racer X comes out. Dulsac and Sinister are still very close to each other. Racer X coming down the pit lane now. He might come out right behind those two drivers. So Dulsac and Sinister battling for P7, and Racer X right behind on some fresh sauce.
We have a complaint from a driver in my stream. I would like to say send that video clip to the stewards if you want it reviewed. Thank you.
Oh man, I think Breezy might have just topped Onos' strategy call of the season. I'm
Quite
not gonna
possibly.
lie.
Yeah, he was one of the only front runners to come in during that safety car that put him off strategy, and we can see that this strategy is helping massively, as in general, drivers that pitted during that safety car have worked their way up from the positions that they were when the safety car came out.
Yeah, this has been an incredible drive here from Breezy. Remember, he was in that huge incident at the start of this race. Finally, Bossman is in the pit lane in that Pink Panther. But as I was saying, Breezy got into an incident early on, but he was lucky enough that the safety car came out while he was still in P4. So even though he had lost his front wing, nobody could pass him. So he held on to P4, was basically able to get a free pit stop. To change the strategy, so let's just say a little bit of luck was on the Alfa Romeo's side here today.
Very much so.
Racer, after his pit stop last lap, is hunting Dulsac down as he's now within a quarter of a second on it. As I apologize for those watching my stream. For whatever reason, the broadcast booth is insistent that we watch the back end of the car instead of watching the battle take place.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarification in the chat.
There's now Racer X and Dulsac are side by side. Racer X trying to get up into P6, and he might just have the move done here with the help of DRS coming down the casino straight. He'll tuck back in line and take the final chicane as Dulsac goes flying into the pit lane, as well as Sinister right behind. So these two drivers going on softs to finish out this race and try to put in the fastest lap and beat Breezy's fastest lap on those mediums whenever he got them fresh.
Another battle shaping up is between Ripper Rick and Imran, as they are battling for the 8th position. Both of them, again, another two drivers making a recovery drive after they did not get the starts that they wanted. Both of these drivers were in the back of the pack with heavy wing damage that brought out that safety car.
Another good shout here is to the other Mercedes of Lucas, right ahead of this battle. He's as Glenn Coco is spun, he's in the wall somewhere and he gets back going. Luckily he gets no damage, but as I was saying, Lucas as well with this great strategy call for this one stop might just be in for some good points here in that Mercedes. I have a very good points here today here, and they really need these points.
Ooh, you say that as Imran gets very loose coming out of the hairpin, putting the power down just a little too early.
Econ slowly eating into the lead of Breezy. I don't think it's going to be enough unless the tires start to really fall off for Breezy.
No Space Hero graciously letting the leaders by as he almost loses it here coming onto this DRS straight.
One thing... Oh, go ahead.
He lets Pecan and Onos by.
One thing I'm noticing, watching these three cars in 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're about equal spaced right now, about a second between all three of them. They are all struggling for grip on 7 to 10 lap old medium tires, which is exactly how old Breezy's tires are. So I'm just wondering if these medium tires aren't handling as well as these drivers want at this stage in the race. That
lap, Pecan dropped down another 8/10 in that gap from Breezy.
Yeah, that won't be enough though, as we're closing in on 6.5 laps to go for the leaders. So that'll need to grow to almost a second and a half a lap if he wants to charge a fight against Breezy.
He's gonna need Breezy to have a Sebastian Vettel like mistake somewhere around this lap, like 2011 here in Canada, where he graciously gave Jenson Button the win. He's gonna need that if he wants to win this GP.
Meanwhile, in that battle for 7th, Ripper Rick just sent it down the inside. Lucas tried to do the over-under, but was unable to due to the long curving nature of turn 2 being stuck on that outside. So nice clean overtake by Ripper Rick.
Gonna go back to the battle for last place. Kill the Birdman and Cone. Kill the Birdman just took the position away from Cone Dodger at the hairpin, and they'll go nose to tail into the final chicane. These guys, even though they're out of contention and a lap down, they're still fighting it out for pride here to say that they were not in last place on the track.
Knowing Cone pretty well, he is definitely a very prideful person, and he does not want to be last.
Although he is on 5 lap older tires and Snipper ahead, Dreamsy is holding this gap to the Ferrari pretty well at around 1.5 seconds, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 2. That's Real Space Hero. He is spun it, and he gets back going here. So now Coney Bird, Kill the Birdman, don't have to worry about it. Imran Thunder is out of this race. What happened to Imran Thunder?
I'm not quite sure. I was watching the battle between his teammate and Ripper Rick. So, unfortunately, it seems none of us caught that.
Looks like he got into the wall. I'm not sure what happened there in the middle sector. Let's see. Who's that? Who is this? Oh, and as the car disappears off the track, Glen Coco goes by. So, we're not going to be able to see exactly what happened, or at least the remains. Dreamsy with NDRS of Snipper, so he's doing a great job of holding on to that driver MP4.
I have to say, Pecan is really eating into that gap. It may not be enough, but it is an impressive run towards the end here.
He's going to need a almost perfect performance here if he wants to catch up to that Alpha MP1. And Breezy, all he's trying to do is just make 0 mistakes, not hit any walls, and just stay clean for the rest of this race and protect that gap. He can defend if he has to whenever Pecan gets there. Just protect that 6-second gap you already have.
Still locked in on this intense battle for 7th. It seems like Lucas has the car through the first 2 sectors, but Ripper Rick just is able to pull out that gap that he needs on the Casino Straight and the front straight.
Ripper Rick clearly has the setup for the top speed. That is what Williams did best back in 2014 and 15, whenever they were competitive and competing for podiums almost every week. They had that straight line speed in the bag compared to the rest of their opponents, and that's how they got onto pole position in Austria, I believe, in 2014 or 15. As now, Lucas sends one up the inside, and they pirouette with each other, as Sinister Owl is the beneficiary of this, and Ripper Rick has retired from the session while sitting on the racing line, so that's a little dangerous here, as his AI driver almost pulls into the way of Bossman. Bossman doing a great job avoiding the AI in Ripper Rick's car now. But very unfortunate there for the Williams driver. He looked to be getting some good points there in his first outing in the UDL League. As we're winding down here to around 2 and some change laps left, Pecan only 4.5 seconds back from Breezy. That lead is coming down. I don't know if it's going to come down quick enough.
That was about 2 seconds last lap, if I'm
And Peacon's only a half a tenth off of his best lap in this GP, so he is pushing like crazy. You can see his ERS deployment all the way into 5 coming down this straight as he now puts it into 0 for these turns. But every straight, he's going to be putting it on the highest deployment, but he might be running out here going down the casino straight and the pit straight. As now it's only 3.9 seconds, little under 4 seconds the gap here to Breezy. Pulled around a half a second so far. It's really falling now. 3.7 seconds, gaining 0.2 of a second just out of that traction zone alone. So Breezy really struggling in the traction zones on those 14-lap-old mediums.
I'm impressed with Pecan showing absolute pace at the end of this lap, for this race.
He was only 7 tenths off of his last lap, off of his best lap.
He's definitely got target acquired on Breezy, as now he can almost see Breezy, and once you are able to, as he might have just tapped the wall coming out of that first chicane, but once you can see that car ahead of you, it's just like blood in the water for a shark. You just get target acquired, and that makes you push that much more, but it's going to be very difficult as they're coming to the last lap next time by.
Yeah, he's going to have to gain so much time here as this race winds down and get past the Alfa Romeo driver. Unless the Alfa has some sort of a mistake, it's going to be very hard for him to really lose this race. So now the gap is down to around 2. He's coming out of the hairpin. He's right there. Pecan can see that Alfa right in front of him. As, let's see, Cone, a little bit of a issue there. But gets it back going without an issue. No, with an issue, but without an issue. Everybody knows what I mean. Breezy comes across the line. He's 2 seconds off of his best lap. And Pecan, on the other hand, was only around a second off. Pecan's pace is dropping off slightly. He makes a little bit of a mistake there coming out of the first corner on this final lap. Breezy just trying to hold on to this lead as much as he can. Here coming through this middle sector. He does not pull a Sebastian Vettel. Keeps it on the apex. And then come down to the last chicane in the middle sector. Very easy to screw this one up on the curbing. He gets through there absolutely seamlessly. No real need to push here. The Renault of Glen Coco in front of him, but plenty far away. He's not going to really have to worry about that yellow and black car now. Pecan only 2 seconds back, but it's not going to be enough unless Breezy hits that wall of champions. He should have this race win in the bag. Coming now down the casino straight to the final couple of corners. Breezy and this Alfa Romeo will take the Canadian GP win here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, closely followed by Pecan and the Haas right behind.
Great race.
Honos comes across the line for a solid podium there for McLaren, as now we jump back to Snipperpig and Dreamsy there in 4th and 5th. Kilda Birdman comes across the line a lap down in P12. Next driver to cross the line will be Racer X, and he will finish it out in P6. Sinister Owl, a good recovery drive from him, especially with how much drama he was involved in today. Will come across the line in P7 and get some decent points here for this Ferrari team. Dulsac now, my podium pick, is in P8. Lucas comes across the line. A great one-stop strategy puts him in P9 with a couple of points. And Bossman rounds out the top 10 in 10th.
Oh, and Real Space Hero kisses the Wall of Champions for his last lap.
Give it up. So there you have it.
A great race, lots of strategy playing out, especially with that safety car. Podium picks were correct, but they were just 2nd, 3rd, and 4th instead of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yeah, amazing strategy call there from Breezy to put him onto the top step of the podium.
Indeed.
Great
Incredible
strategy.
drive there from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, incredible. He had... I don't know if he planned that strategy the second the safety car went out, but it sure seemed like he did, and he made the right decision.
Yeah, that was an absolute incredible race strategy-wise. Breezy comes across the line to win the Canadian GP Pecan right behind in P2. Honos comes across the line. He will be the final podium position in that McLaren Snipper Pick in P4. Dreamsy in P5. Racer X in P6. Sinister Owl P7. Dilsack 8th. Lucas 9th. And Bossman 10th. Rounding out the points, the final finishing drivers were Glen Coco, Kill the Birdman, Cone Dodger, and Real Space Hero. Our retirements from this race were Ripper Rick, I'm Ran Thunder, the Imperial, and Get That Money and Run.
Great race here in Canada. And next week we will have a week off from F1, but it'll be the first round of the Endurance Championship in the World Endurance Championship on Project Cars 2. Be sure to see that on the official UDL channel. I know Dylan will most likely be commentating that one.
Look forward to it, John. As last race at COTA was a thriller, especially in GTE, so looking forward to the next one.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in for this week's race here in the UDL F1 League Season 2, round number 6 at the Canadian GP. My name, of course, has been Mr. Damage. I've been with John and Dylan today. And thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Have a good night, everyone. 1 second.